Imagine this for a second. You wake up tomorrow morning, the sun's up, everything feels normal, until you step outside and realize every grocery store shelf is empty. No bread, no rice, not even that weird off-brand cereal nobody likes. Just gone. So here's the question. What's the first thing you'd wish you had growing in your backyard? Because, spoiler alert, it's not potatoes or canned beans like people always think. Nope. Some of the best survival crops are actually the ones everyone overlooks, the ones hiding in plain sight that could literally keep you alive when things go sideways. Today, I'm breaking down 10 crops that could feed you, nourish you, and keep you going strong if the world ever hits pause. And before we get into it, no, toilet paper trees still don't exist. I checked, repeatedly. Hey there, from Serene Green Gardens. You know, around here, we don't do panic, we plant smart. Because, let's be honest, food security isn't just for hardcore preppers or people living off-grid anymore. It's for anyone who wants a little peace of mind, a little control over what they eat, and maybe even a sense of calm when the world feels unpredictable. Now, the crops I'm about to share aren't just random picks off a survival blog. These are the real deal, tested, affordable, and surprisingly forgiving. You don't need acres of land or perfect soil to grow them. If all you've got is a couple of buckets, some old containers, or that stubborn patch of dirt in your backyard that refuses to cooperate, you're still good to go. And hey, if you enjoy learning how to grow more while spending less without turning your yard into a full-blown farm, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll never miss the simple, smart gardening tips we share every week. All right, let's get into the heart of it. Our survival crops. These are the plants that don't just fill your plate, they keep you going. Let's start with the first one. Number 1, sweet potatoes. If you've ever grown these before, you already know they're absolute champions. Sweet potatoes don't need pampering or fancy soil. They thrive in places where most crops struggle. Once they're in the ground, they practically take care of themselves. The best part? They store incredibly well. You can keep them for months in a cool, dry spot without losing flavor or nutrition. And here's something most people don't realize. The leaves are edible. Yes, the greens that most folks cut off and toss away are actually packed with iron, fiber, and antioxidants. Steam them, sauté them, or toss them in a soup. They taste a bit like spinach, but with a heartier texture. In a survival garden, that means you're getting food from both above and below the ground. Double value from one crop? How often does that happen? Now moving on to number 2, beans, especially the climbing varieties. When you think about survival food, you want something that gives you energy and keeps you strong. That's where beans come in. They're full of protein, they grow fast, and they don't take up much space if you trellis them right. You can grow them along a fence, a pole, or even a piece of old netting, and before long, you'll have vines full of food. Here's the cool part. They also help feed the soil. Beans pull nitrogen from the air and fix it into the ground, so they're actually improving the fertility of your garden while they grow. It's like nature's own fertilizer system. And if you think about it, that's what makes them perfect for tough times. You're not just feeding yourself, you're keeping your soil healthy for whatever you plant next. Honestly, I like to call them protein fences. You set them up once, and soon you're harvesting fresh beans off the wall. You can eat them green, dry them for later, or save some seeds for next season. It's one of the most reliable, low-cost, high-reward crops you can grow, and it keeps paying you back long after that first planting. Number 3, kale. Now, if there's one plant that laughs in the face of neglect, it's kale. You could forget to water it for a few days, deal with a bit of frost, or even get hit with that midsummer heat, and somehow kale just keeps growing. It's one of those crops that practically forgives your mistakes. What I love most is how generous it is. You don't need to pull the whole plant up to enjoy it. Just cut off a few leaves and it'll grow right back again. It's like the Netflix of greens, never ending, always ready for another episode. The more you harvest, the more it gives. And nutritionally, kale is a powerhouse. We're talking about something packed with vitamins A, C, and K, plus iron, calcium, and fiber. In a post-apocalyptic world, or even just during a rough season when you're trying to stretch what you've got, kale keeps your immune system strong and your meals feeling fresh. You can throw it into soups, mix it into stews, or eat it raw in salads if you like that earthy, bold taste. If you're new to gardening or you got a patch of land that just refuses to cooperate, start with kale. It'll make you feel like a gardening pro even when you're winging it. Number 4, garlic. Now, garlic is one of those crops that does so much more than people give it credit for. Most people see it as a seasoning, but in survival terms, it's practically medicine, currency, and flavor all in one. Garlic has natural antibacterial and antifungal properties, which means it's not just feeding you, it's helping your body fight off infection. And when you're growing for survival, that's huge. One clove turns into a whole head, and that head can give you next season's planting stock. Talk about self-sustaining. Another big win is storage. Garlic keeps better than half the stuff in your pantry. Once it's dry and cured, you can store it for months. Even longer if you braid it and hang it in a cool, dry place. And in a world where flavor might be scarce, garlic turns even the simplest meal into something worth eating. Here's a little bonus. If you ever needed to trade or barter, garlic is gold. People will always want it because it's useful, valuable, and doesn't spoil easily. And of course, if those movie vampires ever show up, you're already covered. It's the kind of plant that's small in size, but mighty in what it gives back. Easy to grow, easy to keep, and endlessly practical. Honestly, if your survival garden doesn't have garlic, it's missing a backbone. Number 5. Radishes. Let me tell you, if patience isn't your strongest trait, radishes are your new best friend. They're one of the fastest growing crops you'll ever plant. From seed to plate in about 30 days, that's faster than most online deliveries these days. And the satisfaction of pulling up a fresh radish after just a few weeks, that feeling never gets old. Radishes are perfect for beginners too. They don't demand much. Just a bit of sun, some loose soil, and regular watering. They thrive even in spots where other plants might struggle. And they're not just quick growers. They're hard workers underground. The roots actually help loosen compacted soil, which makes it easier for your next crops to take root and thrive. So in a way, they're preparing the ground for your future harvests while feeding you now. The flavor is another bonus. Fresh, peppery, and full of that satisfying crunch. You can eat them raw, toss them into salads, roast them for a milder taste, or even pickle them to store for later. And don't throw away the greens. They're edible, loaded with nutrients, and great sautéed with a little garlic and salt. In the survival setup, radishes give you quick food, healthier soil, and a morale boost that comes from seeing results fast. Number 6, corn, specifically heirloom varieties. Now this one's a classic, but there's a reason it's been a stable crop for centuries. Corn is versatile, filling, and easy to preserve. You can eat it fresh, grind it into meal, or dry it for storage. And when you choose heirloom corn, you're not just growing food, you're growing future food. Because unlike hybrid varieties, heirloom corn reproduces true to type. That means the seeds you save from this season can be planted again next year, giving you a renewable food source without relying on seed companies or supply chains. Think of it as old-school insurance for your food security. One planting gives you 2 rewards, food now and seed for later. Plus, corn plays nicely with other crops. Pair it with beans and squash, what some gardeners call the 3 sisters, and you'll have a mini ecosystem that supports itself. Corn provides structure for beans to climb, beans feed nitrogen back into the soil, and squash shade the ground to keep it moist. When times get tough, corn brings calories, comfort, and stability to your table. It's filling, familiar, and adaptable. You can boil it, roast it, grind it, or store it for later. And just remember to stick with heirloom varieties. Skip the hybrids. They might look uniform, but they won't reproduce. In a world where sustainability matters more than ever, heirloom corn keeps you fed today and prepared for tomorrow. Number 7, herbs. Specifically, rosemary, basil, and sage. Now, this is where survival gardening starts to feel a little more human. Because let's be honest, when you're living off your own crops, flavor becomes a luxury, and herbs bring that back to life. You'd be surprised how far a simple bundle of basil can go when every meal starts tasting the same. Let's start with rosemary. It's tough, drought-tolerant, and once it's established, it just keeps going. You can trim it, Dry it and use it for months. It adds that deep, savory flavor to food, and it doubles as a natural insect repellent. Plus, it's medicinal. Rosemary tea can help with headaches and boost memory. So you're not just seasoning your meals, you're supporting your body too. Basil, on the other hand, grows fast and makes everything taste better. Fresh tomatoes, beans, even a basic rice dish suddenly feels gourmet when basil's involved. It also has antibacterial properties and helps repel pests in the garden. And when you have too much, which you probably will, dry it out or turn it into pesto. It lasts for ages. Then there's sage. It's the wise old soul of the herb world. Strong, earthy, a little bitter, but it's packed with antioxidants and great for digestion. Sage also has a long history in natural medicine and trade. In tough times, herbs like sage and rosemary become valuable items for barter. People crave flavor, comfort, and remedies, and those plants give all three. So don't underestimate herbs. They might not fill your stomach like sweet potatoes or beans, but they'll keep you sane, keep your meals enjoyable, and add serious trade value. You can dry them, bundle them, and they'll hold their worth long after fresh produce spoils. Number 8, squash or zucchini. If there's one plant that defines abundance, it's this one. Squash and zucchini grow like they're trying to take over the world, and honestly, that's a good thing when you're growing to survive. One healthy plant can feed a small family if you stay on top of the harvest. And that's not an exaggeration. They just keep producing. You'll get tender fruits, edible blossoms, and even young leaves that can be cooked down for greens. Every part of this plant gives something. The blossoms are rich in vitamin C and make great additions to soups or even fried for a quick snack. The fruits are versatile. Boil them, roast them, grill them, or dry slices for later. And when it comes to survival value, squash wins big on storage. Once matured and cured, many varieties last for months without refrigeration. Just keep them in a cool, dry place, and they'll hold up long after your fresh veggies are gone. Here's the trick. Give them space and sunshine. Squash loves to spread, so let it. The big leaves help shade the soil, keeping it moist and cool for other crops nearby. And if you've ever shared extra zucchini with your neighbors, you already know. It's a crop that keeps on giving. So, if you're building a survival garden that's meant to sustain you through uncertainty, squash and zucchini belong right at the center. They're reliable, generous, and forgiving. And when times are rough, there's something comforting about walking outside and seeing a plant that just refuses to stop producing. Number 9, cassava, or yucca, depending on where you're from. This one doesn't always make the top 10 lists, but honestly, it deserves a crown. Cassava is what I'd call the quiet hero of tropical survival gardening. It's not flashy. It doesn't grow fast like radishes or look lush like kale, but it's steady, reliable, and incredibly filling. In many parts of the world, it's known as the underground survival bread, and for good reason. Cassava is packed with calories, which makes it a perfect backup crop when food supplies are tight. It's rich in carbohydrates, giving you the energy your body needs to keep going. And the best part? It's drought tolerant. Once it's established, it can handle dry seasons that would wipe out weaker plants. That makes it ideal for tropical or semi-arid regions where the rain doesn't always show up on time. Another thing that makes cassava so valuable, it's low maintenance. You plant it, walk away, and months later, you've got roots ready to harvest when you need them. You don't have to baby it or replant every few weeks. It's one of those crops that quietly waits underground until you're ready, almost like nature's food storage system. Now, one little tip, cassava roots have to be cooked properly before eating. The raw form can be toxic if not prepared right, so always boil, roast, or ferment it depending on your variety. But once you do, it's amazing. It can be made into flour, chips, or even porridge. It's versatile, long-lasting, and deeply nourishing. In tough times, cassava is that dependable friend you'll be grateful you planted. Number 10, amaranth. This crop is ancient, beautiful, and one of the most complete foods nature ever made. It's both a grain and a leafy green, which already makes it special. The leaves are tender, high in protein, and packed with iron and calcium, while the seeds can be cooked like quinoa or ground into flour. That's 2 kinds of nutrition from one plant. And that's exactly what you want in a survival garden. What makes Amaranth even more impressive is how tough it is. It loves heat, doesn't mind poor soil, and shrugs off neglect. When other crops are wilting in the sun, Amaranth just keeps growing, standing tall with those bright, colorful plumes that make your garden look alive even in the harshest conditions. It's been feeding civilizations for thousands of years, and it's still one of the best things you can grow if you want a complete, sustainable food source. The seeds are small but nutrient-dense, rich in amino acids, magnesium, and fiber, and they store incredibly well, so you can dry and keep them for months, ready to cook whenever you need. If you think about it, Amaranth represents the perfect balance between beauty and practicality. It nourishes your body, strengthens your soil, and gives you food security that looks as good as it performs. In any kind of uncertain world, that's a crop worth growing and worth protecting. Now, here's something that survival gardening often gets wrong, and it's an easy trap to fall into. Most people focus only on the crops that fill you up, things like yams, potatoes, or corn. Sure, those starchy foods keep your stomach full, but they don't necessarily keep you healthy. If all you're growing is calories, you're surviving, not thriving. And that difference matters, especially in the long run. A real survival garden isn't just about staying alive. It's about staying strong, sharp, and nourished enough to keep going day after day. You need a mix of crops that cover your body's needs: carbohydrates for energy, protein for strength, and vitamins and minerals for your immune system and mental clarity. That's why balance is everything. Think of your garden like your pantry. Sweet potatoes handle the carbs. They keep your energy up and your body warm. Beans are your protein powerhouses. They help build muscle, then keep you feeling full longer. Kale and amaranth step in with the micronutrients: iron, calcium, and antioxidants your body depends on to fight fatigue and infection. And then you've got herbs like rosemary and sage quietly doing the behind-the-scenes work, helping your immunity, easing digestion, and even reducing inflammation. When you put all of that together, you're not just growing food, you're growing resilience. You're giving yourself and your family real, lasting nutrition. So instead of thinking about what will fill your plate fastest, think about what will keep you strong longest. That's the kind of garden that truly sustains life, no matter what happens outside your fence. If you're enjoying these realistic survival gardening tips, hit that subscribe button. We post new videos every day to help you grow smarter, not harder. The truth is, you don't need acres of land to stay prepared. You just need the right plants and a bit of patience. If this video got you thinking, share it with a friend who's been talking about starting a garden as one day. That day might as well be today.